is the cortex. This is our aware, our thinking brain. It's flexible in its ability to respond. It's reflective. There's awareness here, and this is the prefrontal cortex. And then if we open up our fingers here, inside here is our thumb. And so this is what's been called the limbic part of the brain, where the amygdala, the hippocampus, hypothalamus are. And then there's the brainstem. And so all of this subcortical area of the brain is where emotions, memories, and this part of the brain is the older part of the brain. It's reactive. It's very quick to respond. It acts on autopilot. So this is the brain. And what happens is that our brain is, especially this subcortical region of our brain, is scanning our environment all the time, looking for threat. And when it detects threat, namely this amygdala in here, in the limbic area, it sends off the alarm bells and it engages the fight, flight, freeze, or faint response. Fight is, hey, there's a threat, and I have a chance of winning against this threat, so we're gonna go into fight. If the amygdala looks at the threat and says, can't win, but there is a chance of getting away, it will engage the flight response. If it says, can't win, can't get away, it might engage then the freeze or the faint response. So that's a little bit about the threat response system. Now, the fight response is anger. And what happens with anger is, again, the subcortical region of the brain detects threat, says, yep, there's the threat, I have a chance of fighting and potentially winning. And so what happens with anger is the amygdala sends off the alarm bells, it sends an electrical chemical signal to the hypothalamus, which is right next to it, and the hypothalamus then triggers a release of hormones throughout the body that prime our whole body for the fight response. Our heart rate increases, blood is diverted to the muscles, and all of this happens in an instant. Happens so quickly. As I'm sure you all have experienced, when anger comes up, it's quick. And that's because this whole region of the brain is hardwired to respond so quickly. And so that's why when you get angry, and some of you spoke to this already, you feel like you're not actually thinking clearly, you don't know what you're saying. And just having this awareness I found to be so helpful. But what do we do about it? Again, this is where mindfulness helps. And mindfulness practices have been shown to grow the regulatory fibers from the prefrontal cortex to the lower structures of the brain. So they actually help us get this guy back online. And again, this is one thing I love about Dan's hand model is we flip our lid. So the threat response system happens and we lose contact with this cortex, this wise, aware part of our brain. Well, mindfulness helps us actually reconnect. So that was a really quick deep dive into the neuroscience because I want to dive into the mindfulness practice. But how is this all? Are you guys all still with me? I know it's kind of the end of the night here. One quick question?
The older part of the brain, has the brain evolved, or is it, you get one brain, has it evolved, or is it the older part of the brain?
Yeah, so this is the more kind of primitive, it's called the reptilian part of the brain, down here where the brainstem is, and then there's the mammalian brain, and then this cortex is kind of the newer part of the brain in terms of evolution. So it's like the thinking, aware brain.
So, thousands of years ago, those brains didn't have that?
Yeah, basically, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and go into mindfulness here.